to work on this. Otherwise, we're captive of this. And this is not. Please don't misunderstand. This is not to say this entity's I, me, or mine is something bad, right? But it's a source of all sorts of delusions and problems and challenges and suffering. It's just another phenomenon. Right, so there's a wonderful book that I read about from a psychologist who worked with young children, and then some children can actually remember the point at which their sense of self activated. Remember one girl was with a sister, and suddenly she realised, I'm not my sister. Before that, a lot of children very, very open. They don't have a sense of self. Everything is just phenomena. They're in this clear, open space for phenomena to arise and disappear. Right, but then we got our children look at the mirror, and that sort of rather pathetic image in there, that's you. We tell them, that's you. That tiny little image, that's really you. Whereas before that, they don't make any distinction whether it's a ball or whether it's my image or something else. It's just another phenomenon. So a lot of that training is to realise once again, okay, there is this sense of I, sometimes that arises, but it's just another phenomenon. So actually we need, in a sense, this takes us back to being childlike and not to invest so much importance in this sense of I, with all its time-based and other problems and challenges that go with it.
There's a lot of talk around today about mindfulness.
Yeah.
Where would you say that mindfulness fits in all of this, if at all?
Well, so can you be really mindful if you're in a state of subject-object duality? So I would put forward you can't. So the real genuine mindfulness is you're just doing. So whatever you're doing, just one by one, you're just doing it. So in Zen training, we're training, so just this one breath. So this is the only breath. Or if you're counting, if you're doing meditative counting, when you count 2, there's no 1, there's no 3, there's just 2. Yeah, my master said, he practices, just do this one doing. And when we do this one doing, there is no separation between what's being done, who's doing it, and the actual experience of doing it. And this is then manifesting one mind, directly as mindfulness. That would be my answer.
Yes. So it's a very kind of a more deep being present rather than mindfulness.
So if we're concentrating, if we say, I have to be mindful, or any sort of effort, then we're in a way separated from it. Right? There's some entity that has to be mindful of something out there. And this is often why, for those who meditate, if you're following your breath, if you become bored, this is already a sign that you've separated. Because if you directly experience this one breath, each one is new. So it's not each one is a new one. It's not repeated. It's a new experience. This is why children, for those who've had young children, if you look at them, whenever I remember David. When he was young, he went and he kept going back to this wheel and kept playing, and then he'd crawl away and come back and do it again, big smile on his face. He did this about 15 times. And I'm thinking, why isn't he getting bored? And then I realised each time it's a new experience, it's a new wheel. So he can't get bored. So he's just mindful, one mind just being doing. So children have this naturally. And we become so complicated as we grow up. So we need to remove our complication, all these layers of who I am and what I want to do and how I want to be seen. All this extra complexity, we need to just drop it.
You've got to get out of your own way.
Yeah. Well, there's a wonderful book by a Buddhist monk called The Art of Disappearing. So we have to learn how to disappear. And then it's not that we lose anything, and then we're everything. Whatever we meet, this is it. Direct, full experience. Unique. One time in the universe. Yep.
There was in the early part of the 20th century, it was quite fashionable with philosopher mathematicians to say time is the fourth dimension. And time is still all out there because the fourth dimension hasn't disappeared, but we can't see it as three-dimensional creatures.
Yeah.
Just like a two-dimensional creature on a fat bit of paper couldn't see a pencil going through in the third dimension,
Yeah.
but the events happening in the pencil are still there.
Yeah.
So everything has happened in time is still there. It's just in another dimension. I was wondering whether you could see some relationship to that concept to what you're saying here.
Well, you see, like we know, like when we're talking about relativity, this time is built in the fourth dimension, and then the notions of time have a mathematical and a well-defined meaning in terms of physics and descriptions of reality. But if you, I've been sort of reading about this, different physicists. Like Lee Smolin, who works at, there's a privately funded institute of theoretical physics called the Perimeter Institute, and some of the best theoretical physicists in the world now work there. It was funded by the founder of BlackBerry. Lee Smolin has been working on quantum gravity a long time. They're trying to unify relativity with quantum mechanics, and this has always been a big problem. And he's been saying we've got this problem with time. He said that it seems like the time is an issue here, and there is a radical, there's a quite radical physicist, a guy called what's his name? The End of Time. I can't recall his name, but he had this very, very interesting question when he graduated from theoretical physics. He was sitting down somewhere, and he asked himself the question. He said, if I'm sitting somewhere, right, and nothing's changed, he said, how would I know that time had passed? Right? And then he had this notion that time is actually a derived notion that doesn't have a fundamental reality. It's based on change. So it's not time is not a part of the fabric of reality like that four-dimensional space. It's something that's derivative of changes in the configurations of matter. I was at the Perimeter Institute last year, and then I was listening. I went into a workshop, and they were talking about the foundations of quantum physics. And then you have these people that work on quantum field theory, and then you got all this complicated mathematics because they see everything through mathematics. There's this S matrix, and then you've got all these integrals that go everywhere. And then he suddenly stopped. He said, he's talking about these fermions. He says, and this is where the science fiction kicks in. It's like the way these fermions interacting are creating time. That's what he said. So once again, I think that this whole issue of time, I think it's at the level of philosophy, but also at the level of science, I think still needs to be worked out. And we know that the relativity with the four-dimensional space-time has done a wonderful job, but is it the final answer? I'm not so sure.
Julian Barber,
that's right, The End of Time. Yeah. Yep.
One of the things that really struck me in what you were saying is that absolutely nothing is left out of the present moment.
Yeah.
And do you ever? I've never even thought about that before. Yeah. And it just sort of makes some sort of a fundamental shift somewhere.
Yeah.
It's a really fascinating statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
is that Neil Tuvok at the Perimeter Institute?
Oh, there were many there.
Yeah,
I don't remember their names, but it's a wonderful institute, and they're doing some very, very groundbreaking research.
There's many videos.
What I really like is in the day of today we have whiteboards everywhere, but they've still got these old chalkboards, and they're in the coffee areas. So you see people with this little chalk when they're writing all these equations on it while they're having their coffee. But the innovation is they've found chalk now that isn't dusty, so you don't get your fingers dirty. So,
what's the point of it?
anyway, thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Peter. Now you may have noticed that we have a camera here, and this talk tonight was recorded. And eventually you may see it up on the Brisbane Facebook page.